11 most terrifying recent archaeological discoveries that even top scientists can't explain. Hello everyone, welcome back to Ancient History. My friends, have you ever wondered that even in this 5.0 era, when humanity is capable of reaching out to Mars, there are still things buried deep beneath the ground, so ancient that they make us question everything we thought we knew about history? The world of archaeology is filled with stories that send chills down your spine, from unexpected discoveries of long-lost civilizations to objects that seem to defy all scientific logic, from tombs containing things far beyond human imagination to stones carved with symbols belonging to no known language or even human remains bearing distinctly non-human traits. Each of these findings has left entire research teams speechless because the more they investigate, the fewer reasonable explanations they can find. The deeper they dig, the more it feels like the past was far more intelligent and mysterious than we ever imagined. In this video, we'll take a look at 11 of the most terrifying archaeological discoveries found in recent years, findings that have left scientists scratching their heads in confusion. Now, let's begin with the very first discovery. The self-mummifying bodies of Colombia. When you hear the word mummy, you probably think of ancient Egypt, where priests spent weeks, even months, performing sophisticated embalming rituals to preserve the dead, right? But would you believe that in a small Colombian town, people have discovered bodies that became mummified naturally without any human intervention, yet have remained perfectly preserved for decades? This extraordinary phenomenon was documented in the cemetery of San Bernardo, a quiet mountain town where death seems to have defied every law of nature. The story began more than 20 years ago when Eduardo Cifuentes, a local gravedigger, was refurbishing neglected tombs and suddenly noticed something strange. The bodies inside the coffins had not decomposed. Instead, their skin had turned brown, wrinkled, and gradually hardened, almost like stone. The sight shocked the entire town. Soon after, scientists from around the world flocked to San Bernardo in search of answers. Most of the bodies had been buried since the late 1950s, and what's most puzzling is that they were all placed inside sealed coffins, completely isolated from the soil, quickly ruling out theories involving soil composition or underground gases. Interestingly, a similar phenomenon once occurred in Guanajuato, Mexico, where scientists concluded that unique minerals and gases in the soil naturally dried and preserved the bodies. But San Bernardo is an entirely different story. There's no special soil, no unique air conditions, and no chemicals involved. So why did these bodies turn to stone? Local residents have plenty of folk explanations. Some believe the town's pure mountain water has special properties that help preserve the dead. Others say it's the healthy diet of the San Bernardo people, free of processed foods and rich in natural vegetables, that somehow made their bodies resistant to decay. There are even those who credit the phenomenon to two traditional local fruits: guadala, a green, spiky, vegetable-like fruit often boiled in soups, and balu, a giant bean-shaped fruit used for making cakes. It may sound like a village myth, but to this day, no scientific explanation has been confirmed. Some speculate that in 1957, when the cemetery was relocated from its original site to its current location, environmental conditions may have changed in a way that unintentionally preserved the bodies. Whatever the cause, the self-mummifying phenomenon of San Bernardo has baffled scientists for decades. After this shocking discovery, local authorities built a small museum behind the cemetery, where the 8 best-preserved bodies are displayed in glass cases on concrete pedestals. Each year, thousands of tourists visit to witness this eerie miracle with their own eyes. However, not everyone in town approves. Some residents strongly oppose the display, arguing that showcasing the deceased to attract tourists is disrespectful to their souls. You know, the world has seen stone-like bodies before, like those of Pompeii, Italy, after Mount Vesuvius erupted in AD 79, where victims were encased by scorching ash and lava, frozen in time. But San Bernardo's mystery is entirely different. No fire, no ash, only the stillness of the earth and the quiet passage of time. Today, San Bernardo stands as a one-of-a-kind destination in Colombia, a place where death carries no stench of decay, but instead an uncanny sense of peace. Beneath the thick glass, those silent faces remain, as if still telling their stories of life, death, and a mystery that science has yet to solve. The 194,000-square-foot ancient tomb of the Zhuge clan's honored scholar hidden beneath a bottomless pond in China. In a peaceful countryside village called Tangdun, located in Changzhou City, Jiangsu Province, China, locals have passed down a strange legend for generations about a mysterious pond known as Botang Pond. The name sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But behind that calm, mirror-like surface lies a story so chilling that anyone who hears it can't help but get goosebumps. According to Mr. Zhang Renliang, a local elder now in his 70s, he has known about the pond's mystery since childhood. His grandfather used to tell him about a small mound that rises from the center of the pond. And the strange thing is, even during the hottest droughts, when nearby rivers and lakes completely dry up, Botang Pond never runs out of water. The mound remains standing tall in the middle, as if guarding an ancient secret that has lasted for 1,000 years. For decades, no one had ever seen the pond go dry. Villagers could only speculate. Perhaps there was an underground spring feeding it, or maybe an ancient tomb buried beneath. It wasn't until 1980, when a construction project for the Beigang brick and tile factory began, that people decided to drain the pond and find out the truth. That moment marked one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries in all of Jiangsu Province. As the mud at the bottom was cleared away, pieces of ancient artifacts began to emerge: porcelain fragments, old coins, and finely crafted relics bearing the style of the Three Kingdoms period. Startled, villagers immediately reported it to the local authorities, who dispatched a professional archaeological team to investigate. Using modern equipment, the team drained the pond completely, and what they found left everyone stunned: a jade plaque engraved with 4 Chinese characters, Zhuge Ziyu. That name shocked the entire excavation team. You see, Ziyu was the courtesy name of Zhuge Jin, the elder brother of the legendary Zhuge Liang, the brilliant military strategist whose name has become synonymous with wisdom in Chinese history. It turned out that the mound in the middle of Botang Pond was, in fact, the tomb of Zhuge Jin himself, who once held the titles of Grand General, Left Protector, and Governor of Yu Province under the Eastern Wu dynasty. The tomb spans an astonishing roughly 194,000 square feet, rising between 13 and 16 feet high and lying just about 3 feet below the water's surface. During excavation, archaeologists also unearthed simple yet elegant burial items such as jade clasps, jade figurines, bronze mirrors, ancient coins, and pottery, all reflecting Zhuge Jin's modest and upright character. Before his death, he reportedly instructed his family to bury him simply, wrapped in plain cloth, without extravagance or display. Although in the historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Zhuge Jin appears only briefly compared to his famous younger brother Zhuge Liang, historical records portray him as a virtuous and talented statesman deeply trusted by Sun Quan, ruler of Eastern Wu. He was one of the key figures who helped strengthen Wu's power during the turbulent Three Kingdoms era. Zhuge Jin passed away in AD 241 at the age of 68. His tomb lay silently beneath the waters of Botang Pond for nearly 2,000 years, until it was rediscovered by chance in the late 20th century. After the nearby brick factory was dismantled, the tomb came under the care of the Changzhou Shenma Pharmaceutical Company. In 2002, the local government restored the site with an investment of over 100,000 yuan, approximately $12,000. Yet what continues to intrigue locals even more is the belief that several other tombs of the Zhuge clan remain buried in the surrounding area, graves belonging to other distinguished members of this illustrious family that have not yet been excavated. The skeleton of the Iranian girl with an alien-like skull. Along the shores of the Persian Gulf in Iran, where time seems to stand still between sand and wind, archaeologists made a discovery that left both scientists and people around the world stunned. Buried deep beneath the ancient soil of the Chega Sofla Cemetery, researchers uncovered the remains of a young woman, barely 20 years old. But what shocked everyone wasn't just the fact that the skeleton was thousands of years old. It was the strange, elongated shape of her skull, unusually oval, narrow, and stretched, so much so that at first glance, it looked eerily similar to the alien heads we often see in science fiction films. From that very moment, a flood of questions arose. Who was this girl? Why did her skull look so unusual? Could this be evidence of contact with an extraterrestrial civilization? Or was it simply a forgotten story buried by time? The skeleton was discovered as part of the Zhuge Prehistoric Project, a long-term archaeological excavation in Iran that has been ongoing for over a decade, aimed at reconstructing a civilization that thrived more than 6,200 years ago during the Bronze Age. And there, in the silent depths of this ancient cemetery, the girl's remains stood as a silent witness to both the glory and tragedy of a long-lost past. Under the direction of archaeologist Mahdi Alirezazadeh and his team from Tarbiyat Madaris University, each bone was carefully analyzed. Eventually, they discovered that the skull's unusual shape was not caused by disease or natural deformity, but rather by an ancient cultural practice known as cranial deformation. It may sound strange, but this practice was once considered a standard of beauty in many ancient civilizations. From Central Asia to Europe and even South America, people once believed that a long, slender head symbolized beauty, intelligence, or noble status. So, from early childhood, the girl's head was tightly bound with cloth or wooden boards, gradually reshaping her skull over the years, turning it into a symbol of beauty in her society. But behind that ancient notion of beauty lies a chilling truth. Upon closer examination, experts noticed a deep fracture on her skull, the unmistakable sign of a strong blow from a blunt object. There was no evidence of bone healing, which meant the girl died instantly. Tragically, the very skull-shaping practice that made her head longer also made it more fragile, turning what might have been a minor strike into a fatal injury. This led to a haunting question that has troubled researchers ever since. Could it be that the very beauty standards she followed, once seen as a mark of prestige, were ultimately the cause of her death? There's no concrete evidence proving it was murder, but neither is there proof it was an accident. And so, this young woman became a tragic symbol of the price of beauty in human history. Yet, her story did not end with her death. Her skeleton opened a doorway into the past, leading scientists to uncover some of the oldest brick tombs ever found. A 1,000-year-old Maya temple reveals the true identity of the powerful serpent god hidden deep in the Yucatan jungle. Deep within the dense jungles of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, once the very heart of the mighty Maya civilization, archaeologists have unveiled a discovery that has left the entire world stunned. A 1,000-year-old ancient temple, believed to be dedicated to the feathered serpent god Kukulkan, one of the supreme deities of the ancient Maya. The discovery was made at El Tigre, an archaeological site hidden amid untamed nature. Beneath layers of earth and tangled roots lay a massive structure, built sometime between AD 1000 and 1200, right during the final flourishing era of the Maya civilization, just before its mysterious decline. According to archaeologists, the temple has a unique two-tier circular design with a flat roof, completely different from the square-based pyramids commonly seen in Maya architecture. This distinctive style has led experts to believe the structure was no ordinary building, but rather a sanctuary dedicated specifically to Kukulkan, the serpent god who represented creation, wisdom, and cosmic power. For the Maya, Kukulkan embodied the connection between heaven and earth, between humans and the supernatural realm. Even more fascinating, Mexican authorities suspect that this temple might be the very one recorded in ancient documents by Don Pablo Paxbolon, a Maya leader from the late 16th century. In his writings, Paxbolon described 4 sacred temples, each devoted to one of the main Maya gods, including Kukulkan. Yet for hundreds of years, no one knew where these temples were located. Now, it's possible that one of those 4 legendary sanctuaries has finally been found. Moreover, similar circular structures have previously been unearthed at other famous Maya sites, such as Edzna, Bacan, Uxmal, and Chichen Itza, major centers of Maya civilization. According to experts, this circular architectural style appeared during the early post-classic period, AD 1000 to 1200, when the Maya civilization began expanding its interactions with other regions of Mesoamerica, particularly central Mexico, Oaxaca, and the Gulf Coast. This suggests that the Maya were not as isolated as many once believed. Instead, they maintained broad cultural, religious, and trade connections, evident in their temple designs, sculptural styles, and sacred rituals. For this reason, the Kukulkan Temple at El Tigre is not merely an archaeological monument. It is a key that helps modern humanity better understand the interconnectedness of ancient American civilizations. Interestingly, The Yucatan Peninsula was also the final refuge of the Maya people before their great civilization mysteriously faded from history. Even today, the reason for the Maya Empire's collapse remains one of the greatest archaeological mysteries. Some scholars attribute it to climate change or warfare, while others believe it resulted from religious turmoil and internal crisis. Perhaps this newly uncovered temple could provide vital clues that may help unravel that age-old mystery. What makes this discovery even more astonishing is how it was found, entirely by accident during the construction of the massive Tren Maya Train project, a more than 1,000-mile-long railway being built by the Mexican government to connect archaeological sites across the Yucatan Peninsula. The 2,000-year-old Blue Room Shrine. You are stepping into a city frozen in time, a place where every moment has been preserved for nearly 2,000 years, not in paintings or history books, but within each stone, each wall, and every trace of ash. This is Pompeii, the ancient Roman city tragically buried under volcanic ash after the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. Yet, even though time seemed to have stopped there, the secrets hidden within this city continue to surface. Recently, archaeologists from the Archaeological Park of Pompeii, led by Dr. Gabriel Zhuge, uncovered an ancient chapel only about 86 square in size, but it holds countless sacred stories tied to the spiritual and religious life of the ancient Romans. The chapel is located in the central district of the ancient city, within a large architectural complex that was once part of a domus, a luxurious Roman villa. From the moment the first sections of its walls emerged, experts knew this was no ordinary room. The entire wall surface was painted in a vivid shade of blue, an extremely rare color in Pompeian fresco art. This hue was typically reserved for special spaces with ceremonial or sacred purposes, signifying the room's importance and sanctity. What drew the most attention were the frescoes painted directly onto the blue walls. On both sides were depictions of goddesses representing the Horae, the four seasons, a powerful symbol of nature's eternal cycle and the passage of time. At the center were symbolic scenes related to agriculture and shepherding, represented through a plow and a pedum, a short curved staff often used by hunters and shepherds. These images were far more than decorative. They reflected the deep connection between humans, the land, and the gods in ancient Roman culture. But this chamber was not only an artistic masterpiece, it was also a sacred space used for religious rituals. Archaeologists discovered 15 wine jars used in ceremonial offerings, along with a set of bronze vessels consisting of 2 jugs and 2 oil lamps, carefully arranged in an area identified as the sacred storage room. An especially intriguing detail was a pile of empty oyster shells found at the doorway. Researchers believe these shells were ground into powder and mixed with plaster and mortar during restoration works in antiquity. A small but fascinating clue revealing the unique construction methods of ancient Roman builders. The context of this discovery adds even more depth. The chapel is situated in the southern section of an insula, a large city block containing multiple functional spaces. Around this area, excavations have also uncovered public baths, a grand black reception hall adorned with wall paintings facing an inner courtyard, and a staircase leading to an upper floor, suggesting that this was once a luxurious complex belonging to Pompeii's wealthy and powerful elite. This excavation is part of a long-term conservation project aimed at preserving and reinforcing Pompeii's archaeological structures, a site that currently includes over 13,000 rooms across 1,070 residential units, in addition to temples, sanctuaries, and public spaces. Discoveries like this not only enrich our understanding of ancient Roman religious life, but also aid in improving hydrogeological management, protecting the site from modern threats like erosion and structural collapse. Pompeii was once a vibrant metropolis, with paved streets, grand squares, theaters, and opulent residences for the nobility. Yet all of it was entombed in a single, fateful night today. With every stroke of an archaeologist's trowel, the past is slowly being awakened, and rooms like this newly uncovered Blue Room Shrine seem to whisper to us the ancient prayers, beliefs, and eternal hopes for fertility, life, and the endless cycle of time. If I told you that Pompeii is not merely a city buried by a volcano, but rather a sacred vessel preserving the soul of a once great civilization, a place where the past still breathes through every wall, every hue of paint, and even every silent fragment of oyster shell lying at history's threshold, it wouldn't be an exaggeration at all, would it? the 2,000-year-old underground sewer system that saved Jewish lives during the Roman massacre beneath Jerusalem. Right beneath the ancient city of Jerusalem, where every stone bears the weight of faith and history, Israeli archaeologists have announced a discovery that has shaken the world of archaeology: a 2,000-year-old underground sewer system believed to have been used by Jewish residents to escape Roman forces during the bloody destruction of the city in AD 70. The finding was officially revealed on September 9, 2024, in the City of David Archaeological Area, near the village of Silwan, on the outskirts of modern-day East Jerusalem. Beneath layers of soil accumulated over millennia, researchers uncovered a section of the ancient drainage channel about 230 feet long, remarkably well preserved after all these centuries. According to Eli Shukran, a member of the Israel Antiquities Authority and one of the excavation's lead archaeologists, the sewer system runs from Silwan to an area just about 33 feet west of the Wailing Wall, also known as the Western Wall, the only surviving remnant of the Second Temple, the holiest site in Judaism, destroyed by Roman troops during their siege of Jerusalem nearly 2,000 years ago. And astonishingly, beneath that sacred ground, an underground network of ancient stone tunnels now tells another story, a story of survival amid despair. The team described the structure as being built entirely of massive stone blocks, with a smoothly paved floor standing about 10 feet high and 3 feet wide, large enough for an adult to move comfortably inside. Its sturdy construction and sophisticated design suggest that it was more than just a drainage system. It likely had another critical function. When Roman forces invaded Jerusalem, the Jewish people used this very system as a hidden escape route, sheltering underground to avoid the massacres raging above. In the writings of the historian Josephus Flavius, an eyewitness to those events, he described how Jews fled through tunnels and sewers beneath the city, living in darkness as they waited for a chance to escape their pursuers. Now, after 2 millennia, those ancient accounts have been proven true. Beyond its engineering significance, this discovery opens a window into one of the most tragic chapters of Jerusalem's past, a city that was besieged, burned, and saw tens of thousands of lives lost. During excavation, archaeologists also found ancient artifacts such as pottery shards, coins, and everyday household items, providing vivid evidence that this place once served as a temporary refuge for Jewish civilians desperately clinging to life during the siege. Another remarkable detail is that the sewer runs directly beneath the city's ancient main street, which once connected Jerusalem to the Dead Sea. This fact highlights the advanced engineering and urban planning of the ancient Jewish civilization, far beyond what most would imagine for that era. What may appear to be just a simple stone tunnel actually conceals a heroic and tragic chapter in human history. Today, as sunlight once again touches these damp stones after 2,000 years, we see not just an ancient engineering marvel, but we can almost feel the breath of those who once hid here, terrified yet steadfast in their faith and hope for deliverance. This discovery is not only a significant contribution to our understanding of ancient underground architecture, but also a powerful reminder of humanity's resilience in the face of war and the unyielding will to survive. The 5,000-year-old floating city of Mesopotamia. Amid the ancient land between the two great rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris, a region often called the cradle of human civilization, archaeologists have uncovered an astonishing find: a massive 5,000-year-old city buried beneath layers of time. The legendary city of Lagash, one of the most powerful centers of ancient Mesopotamia. What left scientists utterly speechless was the revelation that this city was built as a floating complex, designed with an intricate network of artificial islands, temples, and canals, showcasing a level of urban planning that far exceeded what anyone thought possible for the ancient world. This groundbreaking discovery was made by a research team led by archaeologist Emily Hammer from the University of Pennsylvania. Initially, her team relied only on remote sensing radar data to analyze the swampy areas of southern Iraq. However, the strange signals they detected from above began to reveal a mysterious landscape, traces of what appeared to be a forgotten metropolis. Unable to resist their curiosity, the team sent a drone to survey the area in detail. And the moment the first images were transmitted back, they were stunned. Lagash was real, and its scale far surpassed all expectations. Aerial photographs revealed a breathtaking architectural maze, featuring 4 main islands surrounded by dozens of smaller ones, all connected by canals and submerged walkways. Ancient residents of Lagash traveled within the city by boat, much like people in Venice, Italy, though Lagash predates Venice by several millennia. The entire city sprawled across an area of roughly 740 acres, about 1.15 square miles, equivalent to about one-third the size of modern Chicago, an almost unthinkable feat for the Neolithic era. Until now, scholars had believed that early Mesopotamian cities were merely small scattered settlements. But this discovery has shattered that long-held belief. Archaeological evidence shows that thousands of years ago, the people of Mesopotamia already possessed an advanced sense of urban design, with separate zones for waterways, temples, residential quarters, and administrative centers. This proves that they were not just humble farmers along the rivers. They were visionary architects and city planners, capable of transforming marshy wetlands into a thriving island metropolis of astonishing sophistication and beauty. According to ancient records, Lagash was once among the greatest power centers of Mesopotamia, home to some of the first kings in human history and the birthplace of early systems of law and administration. Yet over time, due to geological shifts, wars, and changes in river courses, the city was gradually submerged and forgotten, leaving behind only faint inscriptions on ancient clay tablets. Now, thanks to modern radar technology and aerial imaging, Lagash has risen once more from the depths of the earth, unveiling secrets that have been buried for thousands of years. According to Hammer's team, every drone photograph acts like a puzzle piece, slowly recreating the image of a once glorious lost city, a place where people lived, worked, worshipped, and laid the foundation for humanity's first civilization. The soul-devouring shipwreck beneath the melting Arctic ice. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to find yourself lost amid an endless sea of ice, where the wind howls like the cries of wandering spirits and hunger can turn men into monsters? If not, then join me as we dive deep into one of the most chilling true stories in the history of exploration, the story of the HMS Erebus, a ship lying silent and frozen off King William Island in the Canadian Arctic, surrounded by shattered human bones scattered along the desolate shore. These bones revealed a horrifying secret: cannibalism among sailors in the mid-19th century. Let's turn back time to 1845, when two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, under the command of Sir John Franklin, set sail from England to search for the Northwest Passage, the legendary maritime route believed to connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through the treacherous Arctic. But after their last sighting near Greenland, both ships, along with 129 crew members, vanished without a trace, sparking decades of relentless searches and speculation. In 1859, nearly 15 years later, the first two skeletons were discovered on the shores of King William Island. They were found sitting upright, as if waiting for something, perhaps hope itself, until their final breath. That was only the beginning of a series of grisly discoveries. A decade later, another skeleton surfaced. Then, in 1879, 1932, 1987, and 1992, searchers uncovered dozens more human remains. Stark white bones lying exposed in the snow, unburied, without gravestones, silent witnesses to an unspeakable tragedy. Some of these bones bore rodent bite marks, common on bodies left outdoors, but what truly horrified researchers were the precise cut marks found on many, unmistakable evidence of flesh removal, especially around the wrists, where muscles are easiest to strip away in moments of starvation. A team of Canadian scientists later confirmed that these remains belonged to the crew of HMS Erebus, which had become trapped in thick sea ice near King William Island around 1846, roughly 1,200 nautical miles, about 1,380 miles, northwest of Toronto, in a place where life seems impossible to sustain. John Geiger, one of the project leaders and president of the Royal Canadian Geographical Society, once described the haunting scene. The ship is almost perfectly preserved. It feels as though we're walking on the surface of the moon. That eerie landscape, along with the archaeological evidence, has opened one of the darkest chapters in maritime history: the complete collapse of a once proud expedition under the crushing weight of nature and human desperation. According to a written note found on a frozen cairn near the wreck, after 2 years trapped in ice, only 105 men remained alive, and Captain John Franklin was already dead. The survivors made a desperate choice: to abandon the ship in hopes of finding rescue, or at least escaping the slow agony of waiting for death. They wandered across the frozen wasteland, exhausted and starving. Ironically, the canned food they carried, a cutting-edge technology at the time, may have been their undoing. The lead solder used to seal the cans likely caused lead poisoning, deteriorating their health and sanity at a terrifying pace. Accounts from Inuit witnesses recorded in the 19th century told of men dying from disease and cold, and, disturbingly, of signs of cannibalism among the survivors. The evidence matched. The precise knife cuts on bones, especially near the wrists, left little doubt that some crew members, pushed to the edge of madness by hunger, had resorted to consuming the flesh of their fallen comrades to stay alive. It was one of those rare and terrible moments in history when human morality was tested by the brutal indifference of nature. Although parts of the HMS Erebus have since been located and recovered, the body of Captain Franklin remains missing. Some believe he was buried at sea, others think he lies entombed somewhere along the icy shore, or perhaps still rests deep within the frozen wreck itself. One thing, however, is certain. The discovery of the Erebus has become a key that unlocks a 180-year-old mystery, a story where courage, ambition, and despair collided, culminating in a tragedy forever known as the Arctic cannibalism. More than just an archaeological finding, this haunting story stands as a mirror reflecting humanity's fragility before nature, and a lesson in the price of pride and the unyielding desire to conquer the unknown. The 2,000-year-old supercomputer that stunned the world, from ancient Greece. If you think technology has only started booming in the past few hundred years, then the story I'm about to tell you will surely leave your jaw on the floor. In the Aegean Sea, near the beautiful Greek island of Antikythera, divers in 1902 accidentally uncovered one of the most extraordinary inventions in human history, the Antikythera mechanism, often called the first supercomputer of the ancient world. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet this device dates back to somewhere between 270 BCE, over 2,000 years ago. While most of humanity at that time still relied on lunar calendars or simple manual methods to track time, the Greeks had crafted a mechanism so intricate that modern scientists still sweat to understand its operation. When first recovered from the shipwreck, the Antikythera mechanism looked like nothing more than a rusted lump of metal. But as experts painstakingly restored it, they discovered a system of up to 30 interlocking bronze gears, each fitting together like the precise notes of a mechanical symphony. Initial reconstructions suggest that the intact device may have contained up to 37 gears, each performing a unique calculation, collectively forming a remarkably accurate mechanism. Here's the most astonishing part. The Antikythera mechanism was far more than a clock or calendar. It could model the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, something that would take thousands of years before humanity could replicate with modern technology. It could calculate leap years, simulate the metonic and calippic cycles, highly complex astronomical patterns, and even predict solar and lunar eclipses, phenomena that ancient people often considered divine omens. In other words, with this supercomputer in hand, the ancient Greeks essentially held a key to understanding the cosmos. Fascinatingly, there is a small aperture on its surface that tracks the phases of the moon, from full to new, waxing and waning. This shows that the Greeks were not only curious about time, but also sought a deep understanding of the universe, blending science, philosophy, and spirituality, a perfect harmony of intellect and the human drive to explore. Yet even today, the Antikythera mechanism remains only partially decoded. Experts from around the world have used X-rays, 3D scans, and even artificial intelligence to reconstruct and understand its inner workings, but no one has yet been able to replicate it fully. Perhaps that is what makes it so mesmerizing, a small device carrying the vast intelligence of a civilization that once touched the boundaries of the future. So, consider this. Does the Antikythera mechanism prove that the ancient Greeks possessed technology far ahead of their time, or was it simply the result of the ingenuity of a few mechanical geniuses? And imagine, if the mechanism had never sunk to the seabed, how differently might the history of science have unfolded? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. The 5,000-year-old Sleeping Beauty mummy buried beneath Peru. Deep beneath the windswept coastal lands of Aspero, in western Peru, where the salty sea air mingles with golden sands that have preserved the passage of time, archaeologists stumbled upon an astonishing discovery: the nearly perfectly preserved body of an ancient woman with skin, hair, and even fingernails intact. After 5,000 years, scientists were so awed that they dubbed her the legendary Sleeping Beauty. This woman is believed to have held high status in the Corral Soup civilization, the oldest known civilization in the Americas, flourishing between 3,500 and 1,800 BCE, nearly contemporaneous with the Egyptian pyramids. Her story begins at Huaca de los Ídolos, a sacred temple within Aspero's ceremonial complex, once considered the cultural and spiritual hub of the region. The excavation was led by Dr. Ruth Shady Solis, director of the Corral Archaeological Site and funded by the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. As the first layers of soil were removed, the team uncovered not just a tomb, but a gateway into the memory of an entire civilization. The woman's body was wrapped in multiple layers of soft cotton cloth, exquisitely woven mats, and, remarkably, fabric made from long-tailed parrot feathers, a vivid tropical bird. This alone reveals the Corral people's mastery of textile weaving and feather artistry. What truly stunned researchers was the elaborate burial ritual. Alongside the mummy were numerous precious artifacts: finely crafted headpieces, hand-woven reed baskets, intricately carved bone pins, shells, and toucan beaks inlaid with tiny beads, all sourced from the distant Amazon rainforest. The tomb also contained weaving tools, fishing nets, and over 30 sweet potatoes, a staple crop of the Corral agricultural system. Each item was carefully arranged, as if telling pieces of her life story. Above the body, archaeologists found bird-shaped ceramic vessels and a basket placed neatly on a totora reed mat, crafted from a plant found only near Lake Titicaca. Every element reflected spiritual intent, suggesting that the Corral people believed life did not end with death, but continued in another realm. Peruvian authorities speculate that this woman may have been a female leader or powerful religious figure, wielding spiritual influence within her community. This discovery also strengthens the hypothesis that Corral society valued peace, knowledge, and the role of women over war, portraying women as a vital connection between humans and the cosmos. Today, multidisciplinary experts continue to study her DNA, skeletal remains, diet, and the origins of the tomb's artifacts. Each sample, every thread, and subtle trace on the bones may reveal who she was, how she lived, and why she was revered by the Corral people. So, what do you think? Was this 5,000-year-old woman merely a religious symbol, or could she be evidence that women in ancient times held unimaginable power? If given the chance, would you travel to Peru to witness the Sleeping Beauty with your own eyes? Personally, I would. It's a rare and extraordinary discovery that few in the world ever get to see. Pompeii victims' remains found clutching treasure in death. When we think of history's most catastrophic volcanic eruptions, few can forget the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, can we? At that time, Pompeii, a bustling Roman city on the slopes of Vesuvius, was suddenly transformed into an inferno. Lava and scorching ash rained down like a torrent, burying the city within hours. Amid this landscape of death, some stories are so heartbreaking that they leave the world in stunned silence. Recently, archaeologists uncovered the remains of a middle-aged woman clutching her treasure, curled on a bed, her final moment frozen in time for nearly 2 millennia. This discovery comes from excavations in Regio 9, part of Pompeii's ruins, led by Gabriel Zhuge, director of the Pompeii Archaeological Park. Here, the team found not one, but 2 sets of human remains, revealing a tragic story from the city's final moments. The woman, aged roughly 35 to 45, was discovered in a fetal position on a decayed wooden bed. Beside her lay a young man, about 20 years old, crushed beneath a collapsed wall. Archaeologists named this area Room 33, where it appears the two had fled to escape the deadly lava flow. Because the room was free of pumice stone intrusion, researchers believe they temporarily evaded the lava, but were ultimately trapped when the adjacent room filled with hot stones and ash. Layers of volcanic dust, several centimeters thick, covered the floor, indicating that both may have succumbed to a pyroclastic surge, a deadly mix of superheated gas and volcanic debris moving at terrifying speeds. The destructive flow blew the wall down, instantly killing the young man. The woman, however, may have lived a few more minutes, lying on the bed in despair, a quiet but haunting death. What stunned the world most was what lay beside her. Surrounding the body were numerous gold, silver, and bronze coins, along with finely crafted jewelry, a pair of gold crotalia earrings with pearls, producing a delicate clinking sound when moved, and an amulet necklace intended to protect her during childbirth. Nearby lay an iron key set, likely for a small chest placed by the bed. In those final moments, she had gathered her most valuable possessions: coins, gold, jewelry, perhaps hoping to escape or at least hold on to what mattered most. But fate offered no reprieve. The path to survival was blocked, and Room 33 became their eternal tomb. Nearly 2,000 years later, the layers of hardened ash have preserved every detail, from their body positions to the objects around them and even the room's lighting, bearing witness to Pompeii's final moments. Today, Pompeii is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, yet much of the city remains buried under meters of volcanic debris. Each excavation is a journey into time frozen, where every brick, artifact, and even the gaze of the deceased tells a story of fear, regret, and the human instinct for survival. Perhaps what makes the story of the woman clutching her treasure so haunting is the contrast between death and the desire to live. Even knowing escape was impossible, she held tight to her treasures, as if they were the last threads connecting her to life. Amid the ashes of Pompeii, that moment still echoes, reminding us that humans, though small against nature, fight to the very end for the chance to survive. And those are 11 recent archaeological discoveries, so shocking that even the world's leading scientists have yet to find a satisfactory explanation. Every ruin, every skeleton, every artifact is like a mysterious piece of the past, reminding us that our world still holds far too many secrets we cannot fully explain. What leaves me, and surely you, both awestruck and shivering with fascination is the intelligence and mystery of these lost civilizations, isn't it? So, which discovery impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Ancient History so you won't miss any of our other exciting videos. For now, thank you for watching, and see you next time.